now back in open. I'll now ask the General Manager of Corporate Governance to read the resolution from closed meeting item 6.4.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So on the item enclosed 6.4, appointment of the Interim Chief Executive Officer, Council resolved that Council determine the method of voting to be by ordinary ballot for the appointment of the Interim Chief Executive Officer, and the Manager Corporate Governance act as the returning officer. And part 2, that Council resolves to approve the successful candidate for the position of Interim Chief Executive Officer, Orange City Council, on a contract of up to 12 months.
Thank you. Councillors, we go to item number 2, Mayor Minutes, 2.1, Regional Cities Board meeting of the 14 May 2025.
Move recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Any discussion? I'll put the motion, show of hands. Unanimous is? Yep, thanks. Councillor Peterson's back. Thank you. Item number 3, confirmation minutes of the previous meeting. The recommendation on page 12, that's item 3.1, minutes of the...
3.1 and 3.2.
We happy to move them together or separately? They're two different dates.
I'm happy
I'll confuse things. Let's just do the first one first, if that's all right. Recommendation on page 12. Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Kinghorn. Show of hands. Oh, sorry, any discussion? No discussion. Show of hands. Carried. Councillor Whitten, would you like to move 3.2?
My pleasure, Mr Mayor.
Recommendation on page 16, councillors. Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Any discussion? There being none, a show of hands for? Unanimous. All right, councillors, we're now going to notice of motion, item number 4. 4.1, notice of rescission, Infrastructure Policy Committee held on the 1 July 2025. That it was item 2.2 from the minutes of the Electronic City of Orange Traffic Committee extraordinary meeting held on the 18 June 2025. There's a recommendation on page 24, councillors, and Part 1 recommends that this item be heard and voted upon in seriatim. Do we have a second and a mover?
We're separating it. You're separating it.
You just said.
Yeah.
He wants a mover.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kinghorn, because the first one will determine the second one. That's all. Moved by Councillor Kinghorn, seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Show of hands, councillors, or any discussion before we... No, show of hands to hear him seriatim. Unanimous? Okay. So we go to item number 2. Council now deal with the items. Councillor Duffy, would you like to move your motion, part 2, being the rescission?
Yeah, I'd like to move the notice of motion, if I could, please, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
you got a seconder? Councillor Councillor Greenhalgh.
Councillor, just as a bit of a preface that come in front of us, the discussion happened regarding around, and this is what the people from Leeward Estate said, that they read that there was going to be permanent closure there because we had to have a closed one railway crossing to open another, and the preface mentioned March Street. Well, March Street, you know, I'll just speak on that a little bit there. The bridge over the railway crossing on Brabourne Way was $10 million some 10 years ago. So if you're looking at putting something similar or underneath or over, you're probably looking at these days around about $20 million. And we've only got
point of order. That's actually not the rescission.
The recommendation, councillor, is that council rescind the following resolution 25/214 of council from its Infrastructure Policy Committee held on the 1st of July 2025. That was a recommendation. What you're talking about will come in number...
I'm talking about our street.
Yeah, so are we.
I'm talking about the preface that came to us, which was a closure of a railway crossing to open another, and that came in front of us. That came in front of us, and also came in front of us that well, I've made my point with that. Okay, that was part of the process, but I cannot believe that the railway, the management of the railway, have accepted the fact that we are going to close temporarily, whether it be temporary or permanent. We have to get their permission to do that, and I cannot believe that they've done that along the lines of that, and especially when the stakeholders and councils have to engage with the rail infrastructure organisations that are involved and consult with the community as well. You're talking about the Leeward estate now. Councillor Judd gave us a list of a number of 12 or 13 organisations that weren't even consulted. Now, I say that simply because when we close Ash Street, there's only one way out. There's only one way out of Leeward estate, out Elsham Avenue onto Brabham Way. If there's a serious accident there, how do they get out? If there's a serious accident at, forget the name of the street, what it is, at Leeward Drive, stuck again. No one's getting out, no one's getting in. The businesses are not going anywhere as regards to that. So I can't understand why there would not be an alternative access out if you're going to close a temporary or full time. You have to get permission to do both, and you have to get permission under the regulatory authority to close and reopen. Now,
Councillor, if you can just clarify something there, you just mentioned that if there's an accident in Leeward Drive, my understanding Leeward Drive is a horseshoe, so you would be able to get out.
no, the accident. If you understand Leeward Drive, where the RTA is, that one this side of Leeward Drive, Leeward Drive goes right round. But if there's one on this side of it, no one's getting out. On the southern side, on the northern side, no one's getting out. If there's an accident there near the fuel depot.
Elsham Avenue you're talking about,
That's Elsham Avenue, goes all the way across to it,
I think.
meets it at Ash Street, and then goes Leeward Drive, goes right round. Now that's the, and what you're virtually doing is closing the back door of your house. There's nowhere else out. What it is, and I just can't believe that the rail authorities said, oh yes, you can close it temporarily when you have all these sort of issues that you've had no discussion with most of the business houses up there. Now, I also want to talk about the logging trucks and the heavy vehicles that use that. Now, the logging trucks come in from the pine forest of the back of Mount Canobbas there, and they come in, there's 10 or 15 a day go in through there. Now, they call in and come across our street, they park there at Smoko, and they have their morning tea as an outlet, but they also use that as part of their fatigue management process. Under fatigue management, drivers have to have a certain period of break. Now, they can have them in 15 or half a minute hours break, or whatever the case may be. You close our street off, those people that come in there and have a break there, they're going to drive on to Bathurst and reevaluate their time travel, their fatigue management. So that's going to be business that's going to be lost to the people up there. Also, the fines for someone who break those fatigue management things for a driver can be up to $800, but also the administration of those organisations can be up to $800 too. Before they should be aware of what the process would be as well. Also, there's 2 buses exchange students further up near where the canteen toilet block is on that side there. They exchange students, and they haven't been consulted. Now, you also look at the situation when you've got sports on a Saturday, and at the moment we're talking about soccer, and there's a lot of traffic down there. I passed through there last Saturday on my travels there, and you're going to lose 50 to 100 car parks that are up all that side there. You're going to lose that amount of car parks. When I went through there was 40, and there was a lot of gaps still there. So there was that type of thing. You're going to lose those type of car parks there, and that's the reason why I asked for the details of the parking in around Jack Brabham, those type of things there. What's going to actually happen? Now, the design plans that I've seen don't allow, or don't appear to allow, the left-hand turning lane into Ash Street coming from Brabham Way. They don't allow for a right-hand lane turning right into coming from Huntley Road, coming from the airport side into Jack Brabham. The thing is just a straight through road. Now that brings in the issue of, hang on, you've got to get permission to reopen it again. That brings all risk management type of things into the equation. I know a lot of the people saying, "Oh, well, look, if you do it for a little while, we don't mind." But the point is, you've got your regulatory authorities there, and if something happens, we're going to cop it. We're all going to cop it unless we've got another way out, and we do not have another way out. That's basically it. That's what I'm saying. Look, hey, let's keep it open. I want to address the thing which I spoke with you, Mr. CEO, about as regards to the cost of the traffic control. As I said, most of us know a lot of councillors around the Strait of New South Wales, and I contacted some downstate, and I gave them the details of the site. They said an extra person on the Astrid side would be around about $55,000 a year. I received an email today saying, again, reiterating 120 to 120. Now, I thought that we would receive some quotes here today to say what was after our discussion, but that didn't happen. That's basically what it is. As I said, I'm absolutely amazed that this is the rail infrastructure have allowed this to happen. But I just want to go back to the situation of the discussion here about consultation. The consultation, as far as I'm concerned, not up to scratch, because we were supposed to contact the stakeholders. Now, everyone in Leeward Drive is a stakeholder, because they've only got one way out. They're all a stakeholder. So I'm saying keep it open. It's going to cost us some money. We should have thought about that right from the very start. Now, I don't know whether State Rail or whoever have said yes to closing it. I don't know that. No, they definitely can't say yes to reopening it. But I look at the detailed plans of the actual design, and it's a straight through road. The giveaway signs are going away, all those type of things there. I rest my case with that.
Can I just ask a point of clarification to the Director before we move on? If there was a major accident in there, what would prevent Council from removing those barriers to allow a traffic flow to go across there and just engage people for a short period of time?
Yeah, not sure whether that was discussed at Traffic Committee, but nothing stops us removing the barriers for an emergency or for emergency access.
Thank you. And just with regards to the costing, I believe you sent something out this afternoon. I'm not sure whether all councillors had the opportunity regarding those costings. I know I received something.
Certainly. I'd rather discuss costings in close, because it could be a matter for negotiation with a successful tenderer.
That information is available.
Yes.
And was circulated. Thank you. Councillor Kinghorn, you got a question to the Director?
I do, yes. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got a couple of questions, actually. So the closure that we approved at the last meeting was temporary, up to 6 months. Is there an underlying agenda to make it a permanent closure?
It's a consideration, but it's something that would have to come back to Council, would involve a lot more consultation than what we're currently undertaken for these temporary roadworks.
And what does it mean in relation to a possible future crossing in March Street?
It's been said in the past by Transport for New South Wales that if you want a new crossing, you have to get rid of an old crossing, so there's no net new crossings across the network. So it's just a consideration in that regard. Okay.
All right. Do we need the consent of the state government to reopen the railway crossing?
No.
No,
We're a road authority.
Okay.
The matter has been before the Traffic Committee as a temporary arrangement. So as a temporary arrangement, when we get permission from the Traffic Committee, which has Transport for New South Wales represented on it, which is the road and the rail operator, road and rail authority, I should say, not the operator. We're getting the permission to close as well as open at the same time, because it's a temporary arrangement.
Okay, so we can just do that. So we can't have a permanent closure without another resolution from Council.
Oh, and we'd also need the concurrence of Transport for New South Wales as well. It's not something we could unilaterally make on our own.
Okay, but this motion that we've done does nothing to say that it's a permanent closure. Okay,
Does
all right.
nothing to say it's permanent closure.
We
correct.
had in one of the emails that you sent today, it said the change in priority at Huntley Road will only permit 20 metre semis or PBS heavies to use the crossing due to queuing restrictions. Does that mean if it's kept open?
That's correct.
Okay, so
That's both. That's permanent as well as during the construction works.
if it's kept open and we have traffic control, though, that will apply anyway.
That would
So it'll
apply
be an
anyway.
issue whatever we do.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So the parking at Brabham will be negatively impacted. So Councillor Duffy suggested that will be up to 100 spots. Is that correct? For soccer?
Don't believe it's 100 spots, but there's been a survey done on the car parking and its effects, yes.
Okay. And longer. So again, that's just when the roadworks are being done, or is that after they're finished? I know we've got extra parking coming with the sports precinct. So
It's got to be balanced with the extra
It
parking.
will be
that's
offset?
coming with it'll be
Okay.
offset.
the issue that Councillor Duffy's raised about fatigue management, is it correct that trucks are not allowed to park on Brabham Way to have their rest stops?
I believe there's some sections of Brabham Way they are, but otherwise they can duck into Elsham Avenue and do the Leeward Drive, turn around and come straight back out on Elsham Avenue.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, so that's been addressed. And the consultation, I'm a bit concerned about that too. It always worries me when people say, oh, we knew nothing about it until now. And I know we had the gentleman from the, where we're giving him the extra turning bit at the last meeting, but Helen tonight also suggesting that people haven't been consulted. It's always a concern. So I'm just that's not a question. It's just a comment. Okay, all right. So that's all. Thank you.
Councillor Mallard.
Councillor Kinghorn asked my question. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Steadman.
I'm also concerned about what the plans look like once it's done and Ash Street reopens, and I'm 100% against it being permanently closed. Sorry, I forget her name, the lady that spoke, Helen, mentioned that it looks like you won't be able to turn right into Ash Street from Huntley Road.
You'll certainly be able to turn right into Ash Street, but you won't have a dedicated right turn lane as such.
Which is neither here nor there.
It's the same. It's essentially a 50 kilometre per hour zone, so it'll be the same as any other intersection in town.
Okay, so thank you. Just the plans are a little bit unclear. The other point I did want to raise is the traffic being banked up to turn right onto Brabham Way out of Elsham. It can be really, really difficult. 2 or 3 trucks along there waiting to turn right, no one's going anywhere. That is something I would like us to look at as some sort of option moving forward. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, there's certainly queuing signage, just as there is for the Mitchell Highway or Summer Street coming in over Peasley Street. You've got a very short section there of Peasley Street, and you don't queue over the railway line as such. So the same sort of arrangements at the Peasley Street traffic lights for turning right and not queuing over the railway line. Same sort of arrangements would apply on Ash Street.
Sorry, I meant out of Elsham to turn right onto Brabham Way to head up to Dairy Creek. That can be really problematic, and it takes not a lot of traffic. If we're redirecting a lot of trucks that way, it's going to catch us out real quick. Something to consider.
Certainly.
Councillor Ruddy.
It's one quick question from me. Can all vehicles turn left and right into Ash Street from Huntley Road? Or is there a restriction on trucks?
There's a restriction on B doubles, but not normal trucks.
Okay, so only B doubles. Everything else can turn left and right into Ash Street.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Councillor Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Got a couple of questions here for the director. reading your emails this afternoon, you're saying it's all about the quickest route to the hospital. I don't think it's all about the quickest route to the hospital. It's actually all about the businesses in the area that are concerned and the closure of the road, whether it's permanently or whether it's only for 3 to 6 months. If there is an accident, and there is certain different intersections where there could be an accident on either Brabham Way and Edward Street, or over the bridge of Brabham Way and Huntley Road, which is going to be a lot more traffic. If there is an accident over them two intersections, how do you then access the hospital from the eastern side of Brabham Way?
From the eastern side of Brabham Way? Depends on the type of accident that you have. It'd be unusual to have the whole intersection closed unless there was a death.
But if there was?
And if there was, we could make temporary arrangements at that intersection, just as I said before. You mentioned also about my last email that I sent out, which was around the quickest route to the hospital. You're exactly correct. It's not about that. Email was not about the businesses, but I was responding to the email that was sent out to councillors that said it was the quickest way for residents to access the hospital. Just wanted to clear up that anomaly. Quickest way for residents to access the hospital is not via Elsham Avenue and Ash Street.
Just my first question in regard to if there was an incident, the road was shut, how quick can you open that intersection on Ash Street if it needs to be open to access a hospital?
For emergency purposes, fairly quickly. We've got heavy, But
if someone's in the back of an ambulance if someone's in an ambulance heading towards a hospital and can't get the overhead bridge,
we could have it open in a matter of minutes.
My other concern is I just feel the price, originally there was a set amount, but that seems to be going up and up. I'm just wondering why. It was around from the original quote, if we did shut the intersection. I've seen today that was going up. We originally quoted 100, now it's going up further. Is that right? Or
on the night, I made a bold estimate, and I've since had the works team reevaluate that estimate.
Right, but we tried to make the decision that night on an estimate.
I was in the order of magnitude, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Whitten.
Mr. Mayor. I'm speaking for the rescission motion. I'm just going to quote some of the reason for my concern was initially from the wording from the reports themselves. I've got a habit of reading reports, right, and the wording within the reports. And I'm quoting from the IPC 3rd of June agenda, which was the Council Policy Committee meeting, and these are the minutes from the Orange City Traffic Committee, right? And here's the motion. That Council approve the attached line sign plans noting Ash Street and Huntley Road will have change of priority and the rail crossing will be temporarily closed for 6 months for a trial period. Then you read down into the report. Now, in the report, it talks about there's no mention about doing traffic control and saving money for ratepayers. There's no mention of that, right? This is the original report and motion. And it goes on to say, Brabham Way Bridge, been built 200 metre north crossing, now serves as an east-west distributor, road link city, further channellised right entry, all entry built on Brabham Way, Elsham Avenue intersection to serve as Leewood Industrial Estate, this making the Ash Street crossing superfluous, right? That's in the report. If I move on to the next one, bear with me, I've got it on my mobile. Technology, slow, right? And again, it's talking about in the same report, it's the 13th of May agenda, and it's talking about once the works are completed, all landowners support. They'll be talking to the landowners, supporting a permanent closure of the rail crossing, right? So they're in this report. It's a temporary closure for a trial period. Then after it's done, they're going to speak to the residents in that area, the businesses, with the intent of closing it permanently. That was always my concern. I know we had a debate here last week, our last meeting, and there was a lot of questions when I was in the chair about where are you coming from? There's no mention of a permanent closure. But in the previous reports, there were, right? We're moving recommendations with the body of the reports. The reports take precedence and make up the recommendation, right? That was my concern, right? Then it comes back, and if I look at the agenda of IPC 1 July agenda, same committee meeting, Huntley Road 3.3, recommendations. 1, Council approves the attached line sign noting Ash Street, Huntley Road will be changed of priority, rail crossing temporary closed. 2, that the closure of the rail crossing in Ash Street will be reviewed in 6 months, right, to go with the permanent closure. So to say that there's no mention about the potential of a permanent closure, it's in the reports, right, that came to us through the minutes of those committees. When it came back to us on the 18th of June, because we asked to clarify it, now it's talking about the $120,000. The reason we're doing this in the traffic control is the $120,000, right? So my concern, and the reason I don't want the infrastructure closed, is if you do read State Rail compliance, State Rail compliance says you must get their permission to shut one of their major, because you've got to remember that's the XPT rail. So it has to be worked through with them, and I'm sure the staff have done that, right? I'm not disputing that they haven't. But it goes on to say that when it reopens, they need to look at the compliance of the ingress and egress to that rail crossing. Has it changed from a safety perspective, right? And if you look at the plan, coming from out of Leewood, back over onto Huntley Road, it will now be a T intersection. There'll be a stop sign there, I presume, right? You're now stopping traffic crossing the rail crossing, heading west. It will potentially queue back over that rail area, right? They may say that the compliance of that situation has changed, that the rail, it can't be reopened, right? Because of safety to their trains and to the community, right? And even if there was an issue in Leewood during our works and we needed to reopen that crossing for a temporary because of an emergency services, they need to let their train drivers know this, right? Train drivers have been told that that rail crossing is closed, right? That's there for trains, and they need to know that the rail crossing is closed and there's now going to be no traffic coming across there, right? If we're going to now bring traffic across there for an emergency purposes, they've got to certainly be consulted and be advised. So they're the reasons I'm supporting the rescission not to close it during the works, because it could lead to a permanent closure by default, and it certainly is going to impact those businesses, as we heard tonight, from the time it's closed. And I've always, since I've been on council, as a small business owner myself, very conscious of the decisions we make on council that impact businesses in this city. Businesses in this city employ people. They're ratepayers as well. They're business ratepayers. So we've always got to. It might seem a small decision for a amount of 6 months, but it impacts those businesses very, very hard, right? So all I'm asking the councillors to think about is that, yes, there is a potentially $120,000 cost there for road to have traffic flow through there and keep those businesses viable, right? And potentially keep that rail infrastructure crossing open. But I suppose the changes that we make on that road still could impact whether that rail crossing remains open because of the changes we're making to that road and the way the traffic flows is what I'm saying. So I'm supporting the rescission motion in support of those businesses, and I'm conscious of the fact of the impact it could have on that infrastructure just there, and what it could do for the future of that infrastructure, because we're making improvements to the road, right? Council's making improvements to the road and doing a good job there, right? But it's going to impact the compliance rules of the State Rail and that crossing, because we're now going to stop traffic going west, potentially queuing over that rail crossing. And I know the director's dead right. There's going to be signs, don't queue over that rail crossing. But if you keep in mind the type of traffic that is there that comes across that rail crossing, they're B-doubles and infrastructure going to mines and all sorts of stuff, right? So it's potentially could be seen from the State Rail people as certainly a dangerous situation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of questions to the Director first, and then I'll speak to it. My first question, Councillor Duffy mentioned the logging trucks that drive through there. There's no logging businesses in there, is there? Other than potentially to stop for a smoko, there's no reason a logging truck should be driving.
But they're certainly entitled to be entering in there if they're choosing to go to the smoko or something along those lines.
But were they to come in, there's no reason they couldn't park along Elsham, do the loop around Leawood and go back out again, as you suggested
Absolutely.
previously. Yeah. My second question was regarding something Councillor Whitten just mentioned, and my understanding is that Ash Street is no longer allowing B-doubles over there. Haven't we already resolved that, or was this part of this motion that we're now discussing the rescission of?
It's part of this motion.
Part of this motion? Okay. Thank you. So, look, I guess we voted to deal on this in seriatim, and I noticed that both Councillor Duffy and Councillor Whitten and maybe others have actually been talking more about point 3 and maybe point 4. Given that we're talking about point 2, and we're talking about the resolution of council and the rescission of that, I don't support the rescission of it for a number of reasons. To address what Councillor Whitten said, and I understand that there were things that were said in reports, but as councillors would know, we get reports that give us a lot of information, and at the end of the day, it's what's in the resolution and what's in the recommendation, what gets adopted, that matters. It's not a little bit of wording in a report. I get that it raises the question about intent of, possibly future permanent closures of it, but that's not what this resolution was. This resolution was for a closure of up to 6-month period to conduct the works, save ratepayers $100,000+, and enable that to be done in a timely manner, as well as to gain data. Now, as Director Greenham has mentioned, if we were to permanently close that crossing, there's still a lot of hoops that we need to jump through, not only as council, but in partnership with transport and with the railways. In terms of in an emergency, obviously we don't want any emergency access over that crossing during the works to be impeded, and I get that. But as the Director has indicated, in an emergency situation, you notify the railway, you notify all the relevant concerned parties, and you say, we've got an accident. That's what the emergency services do. That's what they do. They coordinate all that stuff. They coordinate extrication. They coordinate getting the patients either to Orange or helicoptered off to Sydney. So that's their job. And given that the Director has said that it's very doable and doable in a timely fashion, I don't hold any concerns for that. I do hear the concerns regarding the businesses, but this is not, and I echo Councillor Stedman's comment, I at this stage, I wouldn't support a permanent closure of that rail crossing either, for a number of reasons, but also because later on down the track, once the full sporting precinct is built with the athletics stadium, with the footy stadium, with the sporting fields, we're going to want as many points of access and exit as possible. So, but for 6 months, and everyone has been banging on about a balanced budget, to then just go, it's 100,000, it's a bit over 100,000, whatever, we'll just cop it. I think that's incredibly disingenuous when people have been lobbying for a balanced budget and cutting other things or not addressing other things. So I don't support the rescission motion. I think the resolution that was made should stand. It doesn't say permanent closure. And it's important that we undertake these works, as the director has previously said, because we've got this funding money that we've already asked for extensions on extensions on extensions. Let's just get it done. It's 6 months. I know it might be a little bit of a pain point, but it's 6 months, and I'm pretty sure ratepayers don't want to pay $120,000+ for that.
Councillor Green now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be supporting the rescission motion. This could potentially be another Lord's Place all over again. We haven't consulted the people correctly, and I think we need to be open and transparent about how we consult moving forward. This is something that has been raised many times now, and you know, we should be supporting all groups, whether they're a minority group or not. Our job is to listen to what our community is asking for. There's lots of other roadworks that we complete where, the stop and go people are factored into that. So this isn't something that we don't normally do. Like, it's not something new that we do. It's just that we're making a big point about it when, you know, we do give money to other things that, you know, anyway, I'm not going there, but, you know, I'm happy to support the rescission motion.
Just back to what question you raised, Councillor. A question to the CEO. Where would the $120,000 come from?
The $120,000 will come from general fund, because I must take it from general fund. You asked me tonight where I'll take it from. I'll take it. But at the next quarterly review, it'll be your decision. I'll put it to you. I find approach. Counter tonight is I'll take it. Seems appropriate. You get to vote where it comes.
Councillor Steadman.
I just want to raise a point about the way we do this. I will be speaking against the rescission motion, and I feel massively for the businesses, but no one in their right mind is going to use an access point that you have no guarantee of time, and you've got a stop-go guy standing there. So if we spend this money on this stuff, and then people, sensible people, will go the bloody long way anyway. It's madness. Thank you.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Question through you. I did say earlier, Councillor Kinghorn had asked my question, which was about Councillor Duffy had talked about us needing to get permission and consult on reopening the level crossing. Now, Councillor Whitten has asserted that there might be issues raised about our the compliance, the railways of reconfigured crossing. You have any concerns that we will not be able to operate the Ash Street Huntley Road intersection, or that we will need to seek any compliance approvals with the railway authorities?
We have in effect sought approval from the Railway Authority. The Railway Authority in this area is Transport for New South Wales. They are represented on our traffic committee. They have approved the lines and signs and recommended those approvals for council.
Thank you. In that case, yeah, I don't support the rescission motion. I was going to make the same point Councillor Steadman just made. I am sensitive to inconvenience to businesses. Anytime we do major roadworks or other infrastructure works, we're going to impose some level of inconvenience, and we can't always predict exactly how that will play out or how it will be felt. But if we were to institute traffic management, the logical traffic flow is still going to be that most vehicles will look to go around that and will use Elsham Avenue, will use Brabham Way. Those are routes that are completely usable and practical. I'm satisfied that we have dealt with the what if a worst case emergency happens as well. I believe this is the reprioritisation of Huntley Road is a really important project, that we know a lot more traffic flow actually continues going down that way. I know we had the concerns raised about turning lanes, or whether it would be okay. Having driven that road plenty of times, it's going to be wide. It won't have a turning lane, but it will be a 50k zone. I'm completely satisfied that we're taking on a good project. We're doing it in a responsible way. If there were unpredictable emergencies, there will be contingencies that can deal with it. I don't support the rescission motion.
Power.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question to the Director. What will the end product, will the support be for the end product of what all this infrastructure will be, if one goes through? What will be the end product for that?
The end product
benefit for the sports stadium, for everything else.
The end product is an urbanised streetscape through there, with curb and gutter and dedicated parking in certain areas, as well as off-street parking through there. So the eventual amenity through there for users of the sports field will be tremendous. For those that are trying to get in and out to the airport, they'll have a smooth run through, and they won't have to give way along Huntley Road to turn into Huntley Road. So they'll simply be able to come straight through. There is some loss of amenity for people in Leeward Estate, but if you remember, only going back 5 years ago when we opened up the bridge, prior to that, the only access in and out of Leeward Estate from east to west was Ash Street. There was no such thing as a Brabham Way at that point. And once the bridge was opened up, it opened up quite a considerable amenity for the businesses in Leeward Estate, in that they could cross the train line at any time without having to give way to trains.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Director. Back to you again, Mr. Mayor. That's why I'm speaking against the resolution. I feel this will benefit. Unfortunately, it'll be 6 months, or approximately 6 months, in relation to this, but this will benefit the future, because when you're looking at our director, Scott Moore, to send through aspects of car parking, you're going to have traffic coming in and out of that. When we do open up that sporting precinct, 8 fields over there, we've got the track and field. We've got so many things. This is something that needs to benefit, and unfortunately, this very intersection requires this sort of infrastructure being done. And that's why I'm going to be voting against the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Unless it's a question. Is it a question? Question. Thank you. Allow a question.
Just a clarification, there's always been 2 entrances. There's always been off
Is this a question or a statement?
Ainsley Avenue and Ash Street. There's always been 2 entrances into that area. A question through you, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
to the CEO. Can't let him off lightly because he's just about to have a holiday. We got funding for this roadworks. I would have thought we would have factored in traffic control into the funding process. That would have been factored in.
Well, I think our answer is we.
Thank you.
Councillor Judge, is a question?
Question, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Director. In relation to Councillor Whitten's probably question then, you're saying if we do keep it open, it's going to cost over $100,000, okay? But if we shut it, we still need stop and go / road control, yeah, on the other side?
Not on the Ash Street leg, but we certainly need traffic control.
Correct.
the on the Huntley Road
Where
ends of the project, and the contract and the cost of that has been put in the email that I sent out to councillors earlier.
that's been put into the budget on that side. So you're saying just to have one person on the other side is over 100,000. Is that right? Because you already need.
No. If you respectfully, of course, if you read the email that was sent through earlier today, the Works Department have explained how the contractor has priced their traffic control, and then they put an alternate pricing in and worked that out, estimated that out for the time of duration of the works, for doing it under manned control rather than traffic lights. So the contractor is priced in traffic lights, not just one man as such, or two men. So, yeah.
Councillor
that's
Duffy,
all
would you like to
detailed.
sum up?
Yeah,
Or do you have a question first?
I've got questions for the Director first. Now, Mr. Director, you talk about the Traffic Committee. Now, the Traffic Committee has 4 voting rights, is that right, correct? The police,
Microphone, councillor, sorry.
the
Councillor Duffy, speak in your microphone, please.
the Traffic Committee has 4 voting rights. The police, a councillor, and the MP or his representative, and a community member.
The community,
the RMS.
Yeah, Transport for New South Wales.
Transport New South Wales.
The community member is usually the representative of the local MP.
That's correct. Now, what you're saying is that there's no need to get approval to reopen the railway crossing at all. You're not taking into consideration the regulatory authorities that say these matters has to be taken into account. You're saying that there's no need for approval to reopen it.
The regulatory authority for rail in this area is Transport for New South Wales, and they were represented in that traffic committee.
And they're saying that there's no risk assessments need to be done. It's just going to be reopened.
There'll be a risk assessment done.
Thank you. That's all I want to know. Now, I asked another question on that. There's a question, if the road is 4 foot deep or 3 foot deep, obviously you've got to dig it a lot deeper because there's a thing there, and there's an emergency there, how are we going to get them out quickly?
We can quickly fill, and we can also stage across there so that they're filling and allow for emergency access.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when previously there, when you talk about Brabham Way not being there, and it wasn't there, they went across Elsham Avenue and down up past the sale yards and back out Huntley Road. Back out Norris Road. That's the way they went. Is that correct? That was different to what you just said a minute ago. It appeared differently.
Previously, they would have gone up Elsham and
thank you.
either right through to the Mitchell Highway or something like that. But adding Brabham Way in there and the crossing over there has certainly added amenity to that industrial estate.
Thank you.
Like to sum up, Councillor Duffy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, I'm going to go back to this very quickly.
Microphone, please, Councillor.
I'm going to go very quickly to what Councillor Whitten said. He's going to back the ratepayers. He's going to back the residents. I'm also going to back the clinical nurses that want to go the back way to the hospital, and I'm also going to back the businesses. The fatigue management is in A doubles and B doubles and heavy vehicles. That is why they stop there. They will on go. It will affect the business houses, and I take on board what Councillor Greenhouse said. We could be opening up another Lord's Place here when we take it right away.
Thank you. Okay, councillors. There's a recommendation in front of you. Have a show of hands for.
So just to clarify, this is only point 2?
Yes. May or may not affect the next one. So we're now voting for the rescission. Have a show of hands for the rescission. Those against? Eight. The rescission is lost. That then gets rid of the rest of it. We'll move on now to item 4.2. Notice of motion, New Car Club Museum. Councillor Duffy, would you like to move your motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move the motion as written.
Second it, Mr Mayor.
And I look at the situation there. We had Mr Swadling speak to us there, and we look at the iconicness of what Nublas is as far as the racetrack around the hospital, or previously in those days the Bloomfield Hospital. I mentioned a little bit earlier that I was disappointed that we didn't have a map that was given to us at the briefing in the business paper, because the general public would like to have known what was putting forward as well. Now, it's a brainchild of the late Dennis Gregory. He's put there for a lot of years. And the opportunity and the approximately attendance of 10,000 people, which was what it had last year, is massive. Massive, and it's getting better, and they got better things for next year. Local member praised this organisation in Parliament in June. What a fantastic job there, and where they were dragging people to come to Orange for an event such as this. Their future proposal, as I said, is a 3-day event with a procession acceptably very similar to what the old Cherry Blossom Festival was like. Their preference is to put it on inside the Bloomfield, inside the Nublar circuit. I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Same way as the council want to put something there like the male named female toilets. They're already in there in that precinct there. We'd have to get a briefing for that. And they're not asking council to build it. They're not after seeking any further money. They're just after council's support. And I think that's the thought of bringing $3 to $5 million in, if not more, and having people come from Victoria and Queensland and all these places.
That's not the question, Councillor. It's about the supporting the building. So it's not about the events around it, unless you.
Right. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. But the issue is, the main thing as far as I'm concerned is we actually support the organisation. I've already given the detailed plans to the Minister. Gave him those type of things, because I know the Minister can override us like they have done previously, but they've already got that at all. The Minister's already got that. So,
which plans were they? The ones I thought you didn't get any.
Sorry?
Which plans are you talking about that you gave the Minister?
For what they want to build for their museum.
You just said you gave them to the Minister.
I gave them to the Minister's senior staff, yes.
Sorry, I just thought you said you didn't have them.
Sorry?
I'm confused. I thought you said you didn't have any plans or...
I have plans. I met with the Mr. Nash and he gave me plans.
Okay.
That's what I said. That's what he was told us. They got that in the briefing.
Yeah.
Well, I missed the briefing. I went and saw him and I wanted to know about it because I've been a full supporter. I've seen a supporter in Glenn Taylor, Councillor Glenn Taylor, in this thing for years and years and years, 100%. It is an absolutely fantastic thing. And I like the name Nublas. Should check what it is.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Probably a question through you first, probably to the CEO or perhaps Manager of Governance. Just for clarity, when a councillor submits a notice of motion, is it the staff job to supply the supporting information for that motion, or is it the job of the council, the motion writer, to provide that supporting information?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we generally try to do what we're told, and we publish it. It goes back to the council or.
Okay, so essentially, hypothetically, criticising staff for not including something when it was the writer of the motion who didn't supply that information. Hypothetically, as I was saying. Hypothetically, it's actually not a staff stuff up. Is that correct?
I think this is very difficult for me to answer. We published what
you were given.
What we were asked to publish.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll agree to disagree on that. Just continue.
Can I speak to? I guess. Look, I think this is a great project. My concern is actually in point 2 of Councillor Duffy's motion, where it says support the club to seek ownership or long-term lease of a portion of Crown land. Now, I thank the councillor and the Nublar committee for submitting the communication they had with Crown Lands. But I do note that it says, and even though they've only briefly looked at the historical status, They have said, unfortunately, there would not be a pathway for the construction of the museum on that land. It would be best to meet with council to discuss alternative land, council-owned land that could suit your project. So I guess my, I actually would rather that perhaps, and maybe this is suggesting an amendment, but rather than having that say that to seek ownership of Crown land or a long-term lease of a portion of Crown land, that instead of that, that staff work with the club to investigate council-owned land in the vicinity, because I mean, if and again, it's only a brief look from Crown Lands, but if they're saying that there would not be a pathway for the construction of the museum on that land, then point 2 is we've already been told that's not doable. So that potentially holds the project up. Whereas if we change it or amend it to include investigating other council-owned land, I think that would be a better option. But I do look. I think the museum itself looks fantastic. The club certainly is very passionate and very committed to the area, and more than happy to support it. But I just think perhaps point 2 needs to be reworded. So in maybe I'll propose an amendment or not. But yeah.
No, not yet. I'll just intersect, Councillor. The question I had is, being involved in soccer like I am, and we built a building on Crown land, we own the building but not the land, obviously. I'm assuming from the briefing which we had with Mr Swadling and Mr Nash, they were made fully aware and that they would never own the land and they were still prepared to proceed under those circumstances. That was my recollection of the meeting.
That's correct. So just to get to Councillor McDonald's point, we've met with Nublar and council staff have given much support required. We've actually got a meeting with them next week. To answer your point, Councillor McDonald, we offered them, if you look at your pack, it's worth looking at them.
Yep. Yes.
We said, look, this Crown land is going to be very problematic. So it's going to be really hard to get funding and business, blah, 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 etc. Why not put it across on the triangle there that council owns, and they've actually rejected it. That is why the motion is worded as it is. Now, if you go to their map, sorry, councillor, you will see where they want it. End of story. Is where we currently go, and you will see that it will knock out 3 cricket.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll have him move.
And I understand that even though the club's saying that they're okay with, not actually technically owning the building, what Crown Lands are saying that there will not be a pathway for the construction. So they're saying it's from their point of view at this stage, it can't even be built there.
And I'm only in receipt of that need to talk. It's something to do with permissibility of Crown land.
Okay.
That type of structure.
So can I then propose an amendment to point 2 that that we add on there something to the effect of including investigating further. I mean, I know that we've already spoken with them, but I'm sure if the club understood, if it is the case that Crown land will, for whatever reason, won't allow construction there, then there is just, I don't want this project to get held up because of that. So I would like to propose that point 2 adds something along the lines of working with the club to investigate alternate nearby sites. I don't know, maybe that needs a bit of zhuzhing.
Is pathway was taken with the land councils when they.
The land councils under the Crown Land Agreement freehold. So
in your microphone, sorry, councillor.
I'm happy to accept the amendment.
Councillor, if you use your mic, please.
I would add a third item if it was me saying, and continue to work.
Okay. So I'd
So can I just for clarity, and I'll go to Councillor Mallard next because he said his hand up. Councillor Duffy, are you prepared to accept the amendment plus a third item which would be working parallel with?
Of course he is. I'm the seconder.
Parallel with the club on other sites.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
All over or
Good
something.
on you.
Yeah. Okay.
Which we'll do.
Seconder agrees.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we have to put that first before we move on?
It's not an. It's just
Okay.
adding it to
All
the
right,
motion.
Councillor Mallard.
Okay, so sorry, just so I can get clarity now on what we're debating. So 1 and 2 have remained unchanged. Is that
Unchanged. And a third item will read to continue to work with the New Bar Club on alternate sites for sport, regardless.
okay? Thanks. Yep, I was also going to move an amendment, which I think is now not needed. I'm comfortable supporting that. I had the same concerns. I think exploring the option on their preferred site is something to continue with. I do note that the email from Crownland was only saying that it was from a brief look at the status of the land. There's not a lot of detail there, so I'm comfortable with that. I do thank the club for coming and briefing us. We did get the maps, and I think I don't think there should be any doubt that there is very strong support for the work that the club does, and to support them. Their plan for a museum would be a great addition to the club's work and to the city. And it's the land, it's the site that's going to be the critical thing. We know what they can do in terms of raising their own funds and being able to do things. So I think there is a lot of great opportunity here, but I had those same concerns that the site may not be viable if we've already tried suggesting alternatives, but they're wanting to continue to pursue it. Then let's see whether Mr. Donato or some other avenue can manage to resolve something. But otherwise, I think it's clear that we want to work with them to try and identify a suitable alternative site. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be supporting the motion. The organisation, as we all know, is an icon of the city and has a vast history behind it, that particular precinct. And it's been, as mentioned by many councillors, it's been lobbied for and represented by some of the legends of Orange City Council over the years, all the mayors and councillors. But I think what the point is here is that council don't have to do anything. They're only asking our support. It sounds like from the speaker, Mr. Swadling, tonight, that they're ready and willing to take on the battle with Crown Lands. They're just really making sure that they've got the civic leaders standing behind them to help them in their battle. And we've taken on many battles with Crown Lands and other areas over the years, and certainly with a good case and the right people like yourself, Mayor, fronting up and putting the case forward. These things have a habit of changing. So I'd say good on them. They've got hopefully they've got the 100% support of this chamber, and at the moment it's not costing us anything to help them. And if they need money in the future, I'm sure we're ready to help them with that through the right forums.
Thank you. Councillor Greenhalgh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very happy to support this motion. And, kudos to them for bringing up such a fantastic plan that's going to increase patronage to our beautiful city. This is really going to help to cement that area as a real destination, with the sports precinct, etc. Obviously, the parcel of land that they're preferring would be ideal. The opposite little triangle maybe doesn't quite look big enough for what they're proposing, but As Councillor Whitten said, they're really happy to, stand up and fight for what they would prefer. So, yeah, I'm very happy to support them in that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. No further speakers? Okay, well, with the motion, with those amendments, show of hands for? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, the time getting close to 9:30. I need. I'll move a motion that we go till 10 at this point of time. Moved by Councillor Steadman, second by Councillor Ruddy. All in favour? Carried.
Let's come back tomorrow night.
Okay, item 4.3, notice of motion. Councillor report, mining and energy related councils, ordinary meeting held on the 4th of June.
Be noted.
2025. By Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Steadman. Any discussion? Recommendation on page 31, councillors. There being no discussion, I'll ask for a show of hands. Unanimous. Item 4.4, notice of motion, mining and energy related councils, MERC and other memberships. Councillors' recommendation on page 39. Councillor Ruddy, would you like to move your motion? Seconder?
Yes.
Councillor McDonald, any discussion? Yes, Councillor Ruddy.
I'll just speak to that. So this motion is regarding council's membership to organisations with annual fees over $10,000. So it's not about being critical for the sake of it. This is just about good governance, accountability and ensuring that we're getting bang for our buck, something I know that the community expects from us. We have been actively considering ways to reduce spending and ensuring that every dollar we invest delivers real value. This is not about MERC alone. It is about applying a consistent lens across all significant memberships. However, I am aware that MERC is due for its renewal. What I'm asking for here is for us to just stop renewing high-cost memberships on autopilot. Let's bring them back here, take a step back, ask questions and make decisions based on evidence, outcomes and strategic alignment. If a membership is delivering value, that's fantastic, let's keep it. But if it doesn't, we need to be willing to walk away and reinvest that funding into initiatives that directly support our city and our people.
I just have a question to the Director based on what you said. Sorry, the CEO. CEO, when is this due for renewal and when do we need to make a decision?
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. The way we deal with this is the JO in about. We'll bring a report back to the August 5 meeting. Value of this MERC invoice. August the 5th. He paid local government New South Wales concept came up. I can't remember it. Bring at least two of them back to you on August the 5th with a report.
Clarification here, I think.
Can you pull your... Yes.
No, MERC's over 10,000. 10,000. Yeah, I checked that one.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question through you to the CEO. It's been the practice in the past that these come back to council always. We always approve any membership fees. Has that changed? Have we changed that? Have we?
Sorry, nothing's changed. They come back to you in the budget. I don't recall ever bringing individually back to you.
Yeah, we used to. I'm not saying it may have changed somewhere along the line in policies or something, but we used to always deal with them one-on-one because there was always contention about the Centroc, JO, Centroc. Yeah, okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Chair, in order to get that information, I'll be talking to Councillor Duffy, who will assist me with the report.
How much money we've got.
Sorry, Councillor?
It'll be interesting to see how much money the mining related councils have given to Orange and other mining related councils. It's a huge point.
And the JO, I'll talk to the JO staff because they can.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy for this to happen. I quite like the line it's not enough to consider to continue affiliations out of habit or legacy. I thought that was very well written. Happy to receive reports for all of these. I'm not sure why Orange 360 is to be excluded, and in the actual motion it isn't, and that's fine. I did ask a few years ago about the JO and was told at that time that it saved us at least $1.5 million every year. So that was just something from a few years ago. So, yep, happy to support it.
I think that part of that JO would be with joining councils working on things such as power savings, things like that.
With respect to the 360 contract to that, so renewal of the 360 contract.
Because it's a big one.
for a 4-year renewal.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, yeah, that's fine, but it's in the background. It says I'm seeking a report apart from Orange 360. It doesn't say that in the motion. That was the point I was trying to make.
Sorry.
Yep.
Any further speakers? Sorry.
I just apologise.
No further speakers. I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Unanimous. Councillor, we go to item 4.5, notice of motion. Councillor briefings. Councillor Kinghorn, would you like to move your motion? There's a recommendation on page 41.
Of that. So the motion is that council staff perform the necessary research to determine the legal status of councillor briefings in New South Wales, and if their existence in our council breaches any part of the Local Government Act 1993 or any other state or federal laws. So the background is that it's come up quite a few times. It's been stated that the briefings are illegal, and I'm obviously concerned about that, as we all should be. I find the sessions really good. A lot of information about things that I knew nothing about. I mean, we had the briefing at the cemetery the first year that I was on council, and that's the only time I've ever been there in the whole 40 years that I've lived in Orange, and I would have known nothing about it otherwise. The library ones are great. So I had a little read the other day of the Local Government Act, all 399 pages of it. And I couldn't find anything to say that they were illegal. It does, the only thing that was pointed out was that it does say that council decision making should be transparent. That was really the only thing I could find. But there were a couple of other things I found in the Act that I wonder about, and I'll talk about that later. But for this, there was, I didn't think it was an issue. So the staff comment have got the bits that are relevant. And if I'm going to be anal about it, then there are a couple of things that we do. We don't really talk about conflicts of interest in briefings, and perhaps we should be, because that says that we should. That doesn't really come up. I don't ever recall that happening. And the other part that I just wondered about was so on page 41, 3.33, briefing session on business to be considered at the next meeting. So we do sometimes just learn about general services, library, storage, cemetery operations, etc. So I don't know whether that's because it just does say things to be considered at the next meeting, then perhaps they're not compliant. So I'm going to suggest that we acknowledge the report given by the staff, and perhaps to just pursue those extra bits that we do to see whether they do comply, if they can do a little bit more research onto that. Is that okay? All right.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Kinghorn, for raising this. It would be nice to get a clear and concise answer once and for all, because I know that in not necessarily this council, but other councils, this can be quite a bit of a political beating stick. So it would be nice just to have clarity once and for all. Are they legal? Are they not? And then any allegations that they're illegal can be dealt with under Code of Conduct. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I take the point of Councillor Kinghorn's comment there, especially about transparency. And one would tend to think that if they're going to be transparent, the press and the general public should be able to come. Otherwise, we're going in under Section 10, which is illegal.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Ruddy.
A question first, if I may.
You too.
The answer to Councillor Kinghorn's question is there under the staff comment, correct? Yes, where she's asking whether or not it's legal, and then it's got staff comment and it's got some stuff there that appears to me to be the answer. Is that correct? I'm just a little bit confused because Councillor McDonald's just mentioned looking forward to hearing an answer. I thought we had it.
We will readdress this issue with another missive answering those questions. Thank you.
Councillor McDonald, you've already spoken.
No, I just have a question.
Question, is it?
So,
Yep.
I'm sorry, yes. I do notice that the staff comment mentions that we haven't actually adopted a code of meeting practice yet, and I was just wondering when that is actually due to come back to us for adoption or any of that.
Waiting for the model to come out, the last possible minute.
Changes.
Thank you.
Model to come out. And of course, the Minister has strong views on briefings, as we all know.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm going to cover that. And it's probably me, right? I've always been against briefing sessions because I believe we should discuss things in the chamber, because what have we got to hide from the public? We have tools in the chamber under the Local Government Act to deal with matters that need to be dealt with in closed council. So if we want to talk about things that relate to this city, we should be prepared to talk about them in this chamber. Because in briefing sessions, they are not invited to the briefing sessions. And under the Act, and it says it in the, and thank you for the motion, Councillor Kinghorn. You've got to be very careful that you don't come to a consensus in the meeting, because a consensus, and I've seen it in this chamber and other chambers, where councillors have said, if you came to the briefing session, you would have been on the same page as all of us. We agreed to this, right? That's when I say it's illegal, right? And if you look at the new reforms that are coming out, in 2024, the New South Wales government proposed banning confidential briefings to increase transparency under the recommendations of ICAC, right? ICAC believe if you have something to discuss as a council, you do it in a public forum. If you can't discuss it under the legislation because it's privacy or money, then there is a vehicle to deal with that in closed council. So that's why I've always suggested, and briefing sessions are not mandatory. Council meetings are. So if a councillor can't go to a briefing session due to work commitments, and then they want to talk about that particular issue or matter or topic in the chamber, they should be allowed to ask questions if they weren't at the briefing session. They should be allowed to debate it in the chamber if they weren't at the briefing session. Just because everyone else was at the briefing session and knows what the outcome is going to be already is consensus. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Power.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To be truthful, my second term in, my first term, man, I would have been lost in a blizzard without these briefing sessions. And I'm certain all other councillors actually benefited when 8 new councillors walked into this chamber to make decisions in relation to the direction and where we were going. Without those briefing meetings, yeah, sure, we need to then turn it into 6-hour meetings here, because that's what it will do.
I think Lord's Place was one of those decisions.
Excuse me, sir, I'm speaking, Mr. Mayor. When we go to a briefing, we discuss one item for 1 hour. One item. So this here is really no real brainstorm, but page 6, 3.3, pre-meeting briefing sessions. Prior to each ordinary meeting of council, the Chief Executive Officer may arrange a pre-meeting briefing session to brief councillors on business to be considered at the meetings. Pre-meeting briefings may also be held for approval form applications to speak at the public. So that was the other thing I think Mr. Councillor Duffy was talking about, that if you want to do approval, yes, we need to do, and we'll do it appropriate way. But these briefings that we're having are very beneficial for all of us who actually do attend. Thank you, sir.
Knowledge is power, as they say, Councillor. Any further discussion?
If the ratepayers knew about it too. And I'm just saying.
Councillor Steadman.
I'm just saying.
I've only been to a couple of the briefings, but correct me if I'm wrong, are they not recorded?
Yes, they are, and they're available to all councillors.
So through the Freedom of Information Act, anyone can look at it.
Correct.
Any other topic, unless there's a
Just checking.
Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? There being none?
Are they available to the general public, the briefings?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, through individual applications, they would be, yeah, and we would do an assessment.
They'd have to apply. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
they'd
So
have
they're
to
not
apply.
available unless they apply.
Correct.
Thank you.
But there is a code of meeting practice coming to you, and you'll be able to read it carefully, and you'll be able to decide what you want to do with briefings in the next month or so. You'll get a crack at this in a formal sense. Read that very, very carefully and see what you're happy with in terms of all of this stuff.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Okay, I'll put the motion, a show of hands for. So we've got, can I just get a count, please? So we got 9 for.
Yeah, 9.
Sorry, and 3 against. Thank you. Motion is carried.
Can I have my name recorded as against, please?
Ken?
Your name's
It will be
recorded
anyway.
automatically, and it has been for 2 terms now.
Thank you,
Councillors?
David. I would never have known
Councillors?
that unless a professor
I've got
told
the
me.
meeting, thank you.
That never actually practiced, but been a professor.
Let's look at item 4.6, note of motion, establish a registered automatic weather station at Jaeger Reserve. Recommendation on page 43. Councillor Mallard, would you like to move your motion?
I would, thank you.
You have a seconder? Councillor McDonald's a seconder. Any discussion? Councillor Mallard.
Hopefully a pretty straightforward one. I'll just speak briefly. And I want to thank a member of a couple of our community committees, Andrew Kennedy, who actually drew to my attention. I've known the air quality station has been there. I get the text message alerts when we've got poor air quality, like the last couple of nights. But I had no idea that it was actually measuring and reporting on the New South Wales Air Quality website weather data as well. So there is actually already a weather station sitting there. The issue is it's a New South Wales government operated weather station, which means it doesn't connect to where our media and where our weather apps get their data from. So all I'm really asking is, as one lowly level of government, can we ask the other 2 levels of government if they might be able to have a chat to one another and see if they can find a way to turn that weather station into one that the Bureau of Meteorology is happy to have feeding data to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Mallard, for this. I think this just makes absolute perfect sense. We're often in the community talking about how out at the airport the readings are very different to what we those of us that live in town experience. And I think this just makes absolute sense to be advocating to the other levels to make sure that it's integrated and we get for the residents that are in town. Actually, that data is part of BOM's data as well. So more than happy to support this.
Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion, a show of hands for. Unanimous. Councillors, we'll have a look at item 4.7, notice of motion, advocacy for Create New South Wales funding support of Orange Regional Galleries annual program. There's recommendation on page 45. Councillor Peterson, would you like to move your motion?
I would, and I'm happy to take it as read. I'm sure that those in the room would be very interested in advocacy for our gallery when they need it.
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, seconded by Councillor Whitten. And, any further discussion from you, Councillor Peterson?
Nope, happy as read.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor, for the motion. More than happy to support it. Just a question, I guess. Would council not automatically be seeking this as like part of like operational kind of stuff?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we would. I just think this is drawing attention to it. Like a lot of our
I understand it would give it more weight.
advocacy stuff. Correct. Councillor Peterson's just drawing this out as an issue that
Excellent.
I hope the paper picks up on, I would think too, Councillor Peterson.
Thank you. And thanks, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Happy to support the motion. Thanks for bringing it, Councillor Peterson. I did want to note I mean, this, yes, we've missed out. This is actually a much larger issue affecting regional galleries in the state. It's not just us. Wagga Wagga, Armidale, Broken Hill, Tamworth. The Guardian reported among 18 regional centres, along with Orange in New South Wales, with major public art galleries that missed out on the 4-year funding in this round. Regional Arts New South Wales and Museums and Galleries New South Wales combined to have written a letter to the New South Wales Arts Minister last month, talking about how the defunding will devastate our region's creative life and significantly weaken cultural tourism. So we're not alone in this. They noted the success rate for regionally based public galleries applying for this funding had sunk below 18%. That also means all of those galleries are now applying for this next 2-year funding round that we're applying for as well. So it's a problem of the way the state government has restructured the funding programs and the challenges that's creating for regional galleries. So I'm happy to support this motion, but I will note as well, I know we're talking a little bit later about the Local Government New South Wales annual conference coming up. I think it's going to be really critical, and I'll be working on it, that we look at putting up a motion to make sure that LGNSW is lobbying, because we're just being shoved into tougher and tougher competition with our regional counterparts. If we just focus on our individual advocacy, we actually need a collective push by the councils across the state to try and get the government to reconsider what it's doing with arts funding. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you. Councillors, go to item number 5, general reports. There's a recommendation on page 47. 5.1, confirmation of the minutes from policy committee meetings held on the 1st of July 2025. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
I'm happy to move it, but I want to make a comment on it if I could.
Yes, can I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Ruddy. What's your comment, Councillor?
My comment is on 2.6 in development application for Dalton Street. In the discussion was happened, Councillor Ruddy moved that we put the motion. That was never ever put. You go back and have a look at the meeting, it was never ever put. Now, I voted against that because Councillor Mallard wanted to have something to say, and she was stopped by the chair to say he was stopped by the chair to say that he couldn't because Councillor Ruddy moved the motion.
Who was in the chair?
Now, I would have voted for it, but it's got me down as voting against it. There was no motion either way. There was a motion moved, but there was clarity about what was actually happening with there. And I'd like to record that I would support that motion.
Mr Chair, what would you like us to do? Excise the planning minutes from this? Is that what Councillor Duffy's asking, or just come back with a clarification?
I'm happy if my name goes on to supporting that resolution, I'm happy to let it go.
Well, we can't do that unless we park them. Let's
come back with a report on it then.
Okay, that's an instrument of approval, right?
That's an amendment then.
So I voted to let Councillor Mallard have a say, and he was told he couldn't.
Okay, so we'll come back with a report.
What we're doing here is the minutes of the Planning and Development Committee, correct? We're going to defer number 1.
Yep.
And then if the mover and seconder could agree to just make it 2 to 7, we will go and check the record and come back next meeting with number 1. Does that work for you?
At 2.6, yep.
Who moved it? You did. Ruddy, okay.
Yeah,
okay. So this will be now, the motion will now be 2 to 7 of those. We'll come back with 1 later.
Okay, we're all clear on that? Okay, any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Can I just
Sorry. You're right.
Sorry, we're jumping over each other for a matter
Councillor
arising.
McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a matter arising out of that PDC, just following up on, and I understand that Director Hodges has been off sick, but we deferred one of those items to have a site visit to the Ophir Road site around near Banjo Patterson Park.
Yes.
And I understand he's been off on sick, but I'm just wondering if you could get in touch with someone to chase that up, please. Thank you.
I will.
Thank you,
Yes,
Councillor
Mr.
Power.
John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just in relation to the service policy. It was great to see many services in Orange this week. And last week actually celebrate NAIDOC. I had the privilege of actually going to many schools before they closed down services last week and just being part of that celebration. Friday I was out at Forbes. But to see across this amazing nation, even my hometown, I marched down the main street. It really was amazing. Brockhampton, Adelaide, it just really made me aware that with this year recognising the 50th year of celebration of NAIDOC, it just really defines the underlying aspect of the First Nation recognition, and the next generation is what the theme is: next generation strength and also legacy. And for us here in Orange, we're looking forward to celebrate that in October. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for.
Oh, no, these were a matter arising.
Oh, sorry. We've already done that anyway. It was matter arising. My apologies. Did you have one, Councillor?
No, I already did around
Done
the
yours.
PDC one.
Councillor
Thank
Powell's
you.
done his. Sorry. Okay, we'll move on to item 5.2, waste contract engagement. Councillor's recommendation on page 69.
I'll move the recommendation that option 2 be the recommendation that we keep the current service level.
Seconded by Councillor Duffy.
I'd like to move an amendment.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
This is an option here. What option do we want to go with? To go to tender with?
It's a report by the Manager of Communication Engagement being acknowledged as the first one.
Yeah, but this is shaping what we're going to go to tender with, isn't it? We need to tell them which option we want.
To get options. Option.
This was at a briefing last Friday, which you
I
may
just
not
read the
have seen.
report. I'm just reading what it says.
Yeah.
Pick an
Council,
option.
we've
to
got
go to
Director Greenham to answer your question. Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify that the feedback we got from the community consultation was there was a mix of options that the community wanted to go forward with. The idea is that we didn't have costings for those, so when we go out for tender, we're not at this point resolving which option we would go out to tender with, but we'd actually ask the tenderers to price up all options so that we could then go back to the community for them to consider.
Good with that, Mayor?
Mr. Chair, can we just clarify the process?
Certainly.
We're going to take this. We're going to go to the tenderers and say, please price up.
All three.
All 6 tenderers or whatever will price up all 3 options and come back to us. We will then have briefings with the council.
We'll then go back out to the community for further consultation and
knowing the price of those options.
Knowing the price of those
so
options.
The community will then be able to say, okay, for $10 extra or whatever, I'm happy to do that, etc. Yeah. Okay. So
I'll move the
every
recommendation.
councillor happy with that? It's very important, this one. There's a huge amount of money. It's a big process.
Yeah, I get you. I'll remove the
I'm talking to all
recommendation.
councillors,
Move on.
not you.
Yeah. Councillor Kinghorn.
Yeah, I just want to clarify something. So page 82, where it's got the options, and for the bulky waste collection, I just want to clarify that option 4 is the one that I keep asking about.
It is, yes.
It is,
definitely.
okay. So everyone pays the same small amount, and that pool of money is then used for people who want to have one. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. And just a question through to the Director, just following up on something that I asked during that briefing, and I'm just hoping that when this does come back to us, or maybe it's part of the tender process, I don't know what it would be, but that dollar figure about, with each option, how many extra years does that give us or lose us in landfill and costs and all that sort of stuff?
Give an approximate now. So under the current arrangements, we've got 5 more cells to fill, and the last 3 have been filled over 4 years each, so 12 years it's been in operation since 2013. So on that basis, we've got 20 years worth of life left in the current landfill at the current rate of filling. As an approximate arrangement, we've done audits on a number of bins, and we found that 45% of the general waste bin could possibly be diverted to either the mixed recyclables or the food organics, garden organics bin. So assuming, say, 35% of that, in reality, you probably won't ever get 100% compliance. But if you had, depending on the service we chose and the education we continue to roll out, if we were able to achieve, say, 35% of that diversion, we would add another 10 years of life to our landfill.
Could I ask that when the next report comes back to council that we have those figures in that report, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councillor Mallard?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, happy for this to go out. I won't say too much. I mean, I was going to make some comments about while community engagement is really important on this, community education, which the director's just mentioned, is going to be incredibly important as well. Like the looking at the top 10 things on 77 and 78 that are mentioned in the text boxes people were given, there are things there that, you know, can be debunked or that people need to understand how things can work. So I think this is a really important. Waste is our biggest contract, as we were told in the briefing. It's also incredibly important. Our landfill is incredibly expensive. State government has waste reduction targets for very good reasons. We're going to need to drive change in this area as much as people like to just want their waste service to be just like it's always been. There is going to be a need there to think differently. The one other thing, we did have an opportunity to ask questions in a briefing. The one question that's come to me since in thinking about how this is going to operate, and I'm probably not expecting an answer now, happy for it to be taken on notice and for it to be explained in terms of how we deal with it when this comes back. Because if we're looking at options of flexibility, if it's the ratepayers who are paying the waste charge, if they're the ones making the choice for their property, how does that work for renters who are around about a third of our households now, from what I can recall of statistics off the top of my head? How do we create a system that respects what renters want and need as part of that process? That might be something we've got to figure out, or maybe the tenderers will have ideas, but anyway, that was a challenge I could see. Thanks.
I will take it on notice, but I will add one point in that our current operation allows for renter's choice or for others' choice. So we have our default operation, but if you have more waste, whether it be red, yellow or green bin, you can actually purchase a $2 ticket and put an additional bin out if it's available to you.
Yeah, and I've got to say, learning about the ticketing system in the briefing, I think, that's the sort of thing, if we have that info out to people as well, then hopefully that'll help. Yep.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at the situation here. When I look at the red bin there, that's the one we're going to try and get rid of for a fortnight, after a fortnight situation. And you look at how full they are, and we look at the amount of people that answered the thing, which is not that many in the scheme of things, and a large proportion of that cannot go a fortnight without being collected. We had this debate in this chamber some time before, at previous years, and it's going to be a fairly tough effort to sell. To get people to say, "Hey, we're going to collect your bin a fortnight." I mean,
That's not what we're saying.
I've had people contact me as regards to their bins not being collected because they've been full. So, and I've had people that said, "Hey, why do you go near councillors?" Well, hey, we represent them.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I think this is about the costings. Any further discussion? Being none, I'll put the motion. Vans? Unanimous. Councillors, I'll need to, looking at the time, 10 o'clock, an extension of half an hour.
Move.
Yep, by Councillor Stedman, seconded by Councillor McDonnell. Show of hands. Thank you for your indulgence. Let's continue. Item 5.3, responses to questions taken on notice. The recommendation on page 83, do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the kangaroos. The guys on the bus had a discussion the other day at the Jack Brabham Lights there. There was about 60 in the vacant bottle land that was there. They were arguing whether 50 or 60, and there was a lot more up further. So I think, when the report came back, they were looking up around the TAFE. They're coming right down into the edge of the city. I don't know what you're going to do about them because they take people's cars out of things. I just want to make that comment.
Thank you.
Faster.
Any further discussion? Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Wanted to thank the staff for quickly circulating that Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Emission Reduction Regional Opportunities Report, and the link is there in this report that's on the public website now, so anyone who's interested can go and check it out. I don't know if other councillors have had a chance to look at the report yet, but there's a lot of really good detail about things we need to be thinking about in how we as a council and working with our community look at addressing climate change and trying to minimise our contribution to it. I did want to note as well, and this goes maybe to the questions earlier about the value of the joint organisation. A couple of things. First of all, a couple of days after our last meeting, they put out a media release. They'd said it was under embargo in that report I asked the question about. That the JO has been successful in receiving a third round of funding under the Joint Organisation Net Zero Acceleration Grant, JONZA, delivered by the New South Wales Department, which helps local councils reduce their operational emissions. So I think, that's really well done. I thought I would mention as well, and it may help address a bit of what Councillor Kinghorn, I think, was asking about at the Electrify Your Home event. The staff gave me the info so that I was able to say the savings that our council has made through some of the programs that have been, I think, each of them supported by the JO. The LED streetlight upgrade has saved around $400,000 per year since 2020 by reducing energy consumption of street lighting by 63%. Another $300,000 savings per year comes using solar energy from panels installed across 18 council sites. I think that was mostly our own budget. But then the renewable energy power purchase agreement, ensuring that we're on 100% renewable energy, has saved close to $3 million since 2023 as we've avoided the fluctuating costs of fossil fuel-based energy. So the JO is doing incredibly good stuff helping on climate change and energy. I did intend to say more because we don't actually often have items come up about climate change, and maybe I'll try to put more up to change that, because I think it's something we should be talking about pretty regularly if we're a serious governing body that wants to be tackling all of the risks that we're facing for the future of our community, and if we're talking about intergenerational equity. So I won't go through too much of the detail of the report, but I did find sections that had, I've already mentioned waste reduction targets, interim emissions targets. That's something now that state government legislation has set those 2030 and 2035 targets that we can build into our planning. Renewable energy funds, there's some good and useful resources in there as well. And then the big one for me, pages 33 and 34, community abatement action, because this is where we really need to step up. Because as the report outlines, while waste for council itself is our biggest unresolved internal issue, that's a small proportion of the overall emissions in Orange when you compare it to the overall community emissions. And I did go to a webinar on it last year. It's mentioned in this report. New South Wales Government has put out a guide for councils on community climate change planning. It's pointed to 12 different types of levers we can look at pulling, basically, and that's, I know the sustainability team are already starting to do the work on that. Looking forward on working with them through the Environmental Sustainability Community Committee, but it is one where, we as a council need to be stepping up and looking at what needs to be done. Thanks.
Thank you. Any
follow-up question on that? Can we get given to us what countries are involved in the net zero with Paris Accord agreement?
You have to Google it.
Let's Google it.
Because I believe Italy just pulled out. Paris Accord agreement too. So what countries are involved?
We'll make sure you get
But
that
this
in
is
the
orange,
third
Kev.
quarter of this year.
Is orange. Italy.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Unanimous. Council, go to item 5.4. Statement of Investments, June 2025. Recommendation on page 103. Can I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? Councillor Peterson, was that a hand or you're stretching? Thank you. Okay. Any discussion? Being no discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Unanimous. Thank you. Item 5.5, support for management of mountain bike park. There's a recommendation on page 145. Can I have a mover and a second for the report? Councillor Peterson moved it, seconded by Councillor, is it you, Councillor Kinghorn?
I'll second
I
it.
thought Steve had a conflict with this one.
Say again?
Oh, I declared as a
Oh, yeah, sorry.
non-significant.
Yeah, but you weren't leaving the room. Okay, any discussion? We've got a mover and a second. A mover by, so he's got a conflict. Are you still moving it or is somebody else moving it?
I'm happy to move.
I'll go with
He
Councillor
doesn't have
McDonald to move it, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Save all confusion if that's okay. Any discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Just briefly, just pointing out that this is really just clarifying something that we've already decided that we would do, just for process, just for admin and process. So still supported,
correct.
obviously.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Unanimous. Councillors, let's go to item 5.6. Advancing menstrual equality in Orange. Share the Dignity Council Cares program. There's a recommendation on page 147. I think Councillor Councillor Kinghorn was leaving the room. Yes. Can I have somebody move and second the report? Moved by Councillor.
Are we on 5.6?
Yeah.
Yeah, moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconded by Councillor Stedman. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Ruddy.
So firstly, I want to thank staff for the report and for submitting an EOI to join the Council Cares program through Share the Dignity. I would welcome a future update once that process progresses, so myself and any other interested councillors know where things are up to. So based on updated information I received and some phone calls I've made, it appears that Share the Dignity has changed their sponsorship model and sponsored machines are no longer offered to councils, only to community centres. Given this change and the significant cost of an additional machine, I would like to withdraw my request for expanding vending machine locations, as is item 1 of my motion. Instead, I'd like our focus to be on promoting the existing machines and ensuring the people in our community know what's available, where to find them and how to access them. Improving visibility and awareness is a cost-effective step that can have a real impact. I would like to continue to advocate for reusable period product rebate, as is in item 4 of my motion. There are clear benefits to this approach. Environmental, a single menstrual cup can cost around $50 and can last for up to 10 years, which is a significant reduction in landfill. Economic, for households with more than one menstruating person, the cost of disposable products can add up really quickly. So this offers long-term savings for families who are doing it tough. And health, reusable products when used correctly carry a lot less risks of toxic shock syndrome and are often safer and a more comfortable option for many people. I realise that in the report it talks around $15,000 for that rebate. I would like to propose that we start with a $5,000 cap trial, offering a $100 rebate per household for up to 50 households. I would like to propose that we collect some light touch but useful data during that trial to help us evaluate the impact. That might include the products that are purchased, the number and age of menstruating people in homes, and the area of town that people live in, not necessarily the address, just to get a bit of an understanding of the geographical spread. I think this data will allow us to assess the uptake, the impact, the equity, and help us to determine the next step with some more evidence in hand. Ultimately, I believe reusable products are the most sustainable, inclusive, and fiscally responsible path forward. I think this is a small investment with potential for big long-term impact, and I believe it's the right direction for our community. Thank you.
Councillor, my understanding is you're asking for a major change to the recommendation, which isn't originally covered. What would your wording be? Yeah, but the recommendation, it does allow for the changes which she wants to implement, which is $5,000 and things like that. Yeah, she's adding a fair bit to the recommendation. You want to have a think about it and bring something back to council?
I absolutely can. Yeah.
You want to defer this one, council?
Sure. It says that we should determine any further action to undertake here in the recommendation. Okay. All right. Well, then let's defer it and I'll bring it back.
Okay.
Happy to support that to come back, but I'd also like, if in report comes back, that there are other service providers do this.
Do what? A rebate?
Not the rebate, to provide the services of menstruals.
We can speak about that when it comes back.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking to come back in the report.
I think
supported the report to come back to us in the first place, and I'm wanting to know what it is.
Yeah, we can work on that. Yes. Okay, so we're deferring this for more information and a report to come back to council.
An amended motion.
Amended motion.
So what would the outcome of this have been? Because it says that we're to determine any further action to undertake. So if I wasn't making any amendment, what were we voting on tonight?
Well,
just noting the report.
Through your chair, you were just voting to acknowledge the information in the report.
Yeah.
But it also said to determine any further action to undertake. Councillor, I think the Mayor is saying you were talking about other action, including a $5,000 action. So the Mayor was saying either you now put the wording for the $5,000 and the other actions you wanted into an amended motion.
Okay.
Or you defer the whole thing and come back with the amended wording.
Yeah.
So you can do it on the run tonight.
No, I'm happy to bring it back.
Or bring it back with the actual actions you want.
Yeah.
Which would need a seconder and then a vote.
Happy to second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got a seconder. Felt like an option. Already got a seconder.
We've got a mover and a seconder to have it deferred. Any further discussion? There being none, put it. The motion. Show of hands. Deferral. Thank you. Unanimous. I ask Councillor Kinghorn to come back. Somebody wake up the gallery, please. Council, let's go to item 5.7. Post-exhibition plans of Management Cook Park, Robinson Park, Orange Botanical Gardens, City Reserved and Rural Reserves. There's a recommendation on page 157. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
Happy to move.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion? Councillor Power.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Going through this report, it's just amazing. It just shows the beauty of what Orange is with this parks and reserves. Congratulations to the staff for bringing this out. I really enjoyed reading this aspect of how the parks are there, even the history of it, including Sir Major Thomas Mitchell and a whole lot. I mean, it really just brings, I think, Orange alive within how we've established it today. So congratulations on the staff that brought this report up. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Judge.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make an amendment, if I could. Before that, I'd like to thank staff for this, but I would like to make an amendment on page 207, 3.4. like to amend that with the bird aviary.
Have we what, sorry?
Sorry?
The amendment?
So instead of removing and replacing the structures, we actually do any work that's needed to the structure and keep the structure there. There's a, down the bottom here on 3.4, it says to remove structures. Also to remove the aviary, an alternate site to the bird rescue activities is established and an alternate site is established. I just feel that that bird aviary in Cook Park is an iconic piece of the town, piece of the park. You only see the feedback today through social media. There's over 140 comments. How 99% of the public want that to stay.
I'm happy to second that. So we've got discussion going.
Can I just seek, thank you, can I just seek clarification on that? My understanding was something else.
Can I help
in
out?
a moment? Yeah, okay, go ahead, Councillor.
I might help out. What Councillor Judge, which I think is what he's saying, is let's remove 3.4. Let's take it out on page 207. And on page 195.7 says poor condition, but it should read that also, which we've had this big discussion here last 4 years ago, poor condition, and seek funding to restore and rebuild with collaboration with the Orange Bird Society. Now, he's quite happy to accept that as well. I want to go down this pathway because I'm prepared to speak for it, because we had this big discussion in here. We had on-site meetings, we had on-site the residents there. We spoke about the mental capacity of bringing people across from the aged people's homes, the kids going there and watching all these type of things, watching the birds and those type of things with poor conditions. We also spoke about birds that were in homes that had to be replaced but couldn't be let in the wild because they would be lost. Now, I spoke to Tony Ford today, who was on the member of the Bird Club, and staff have not contacted him for nearly over 12 months as regards to that. And he met with the director and went through the processes, but nothing has actually happened, and he was told there's nothing in the budget, bad luck.
Okay, I'll just ask
Shouldn't have been even there.
I'll ask the CEO, because I might be looking at a deferral on that Cook Park item, might be suggesting that, but I just want to hear from the CEO.
Yeah, I would suggest you defer this because, we read about this in the Central West Daily, of course, and, we've been through this several times before. I think the amendment Councillor Duffy is suggesting on page 195 is inappropriate. Mr. Maunder and his team have met with Mr. Ford twice over the period since we had this issue before. I would seek a staff deferral so we can brief council. Mr. Ford has been met with. We go back and forth on this. We have had no public submissions on this Cook Park thing. So this ad hoc staff off the floor, I do not support as staff, and I seek a staff deferral or support from a councillor to do that, because my understanding is that, Councillor Judge talks about 3.4 to remove. He's suggesting it's going to be removed and never seen again. It says here to remove / replace.
I'm happy to move that it be deferred.
There's alternate site established. This aviary's not going. It's an alternative site. There's been discussions. It's a very popular thing. That is, I'm still talking, Councillor.
But you're debating.
It has been, I'm not debating, I'm making a statement. You want to see me debate? Wait till I finish.
Not allowed to debate, David.
And you tell me that many times. So I would dispute all of this, and I would say a staff deferral I would seek. Because this is ad hoc.
Can I amend my move? Because I moved the original one.
So what were you going to do?
I was going to suggest that I was going to move that we adopt the plans of management for Robertson Park, Orange Botanic Gardens, City Reserves and Rural Reserves, and that we defer the plan of management for Cook Park.
Okay, so you want an amendment to the original?
Yes.
Okay.
If my seconder's happy with that.
Who's the seconder?
I thought it was Councillor Power.
Okay. Councillor Power, do you accept that?
Could you just repeat that again?
So adopting plans of management for Robertson Park, Botanic Gardens, City Reserves and Rural Reserves, and deferring the Cook Park one for a staff briefing.
So that's the only question we've got. Through you, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm happy to support that.
Okay, there's amendment to it. So we'll vote on the amendment. Councillors?
What's the amendment? Councillor McDonald.
Well, we're
just
deferring
changed-
it.
Original.
The CEO is saying we can't just do it from the floor.
Yeah. The amendment. Got an amendment.
Happy to
afoot,
modify the motion, but to modify the motion just to remove 3.4.
Yeah.
Just remove it.
Cook Park.
Just remove 3.4.
Oh, I see. So, okay. So,
Well,
councillors, would I be right to say we have now an original motion which says that you adopt the plans of management for Robertson Park, Botanic Gardens, city reserves and rural reserves, and we have an amendment.
No, we're not the amendment, we're the motion.
Are you
No, you're the amendment.
No.
amended the original motion? The original motion has now been amended to exclude Cook Park. Now, does that make your amendment invalid?
With our first motion then, won't we?
Which
But it's
you
been
never
amended.
had.
You never had.
Which you never had.
Sorry.
They
sorry,
had
I'm
the first
afraid
motion.
We did have it. Councillor Judge and I spoke with Councillor Judge and I said, if he said that, I'm happy to second it.
That was the amendment.
That was an
You were
amendment.
doing an amendment, Kevin.
Councillor McDonald and Power had the first motion.
Yeah.
Councillor McDonald has changed her motion to do
That's-
certain aspects.
Move an amendment.
You moved the amendment. You moved an amendment
We
to
had the
move
motion.
3.4.
And we said we'd move an amendment to the motion, but we said no, we'll go back.
Cook Park now doesn't exist. So, Mr Mayor, I would advise you put the original motion because the other amendment is now in fact.
It is. Okay. Do we understand? Councillor Greenouch.
And I have a question
Yes.
through you, Mr. Mayor. Whatever happens with this, can we have the resolution of council for the bird aviary sent out to everyone, just so those councillors that weren't here previously are aware of what that was? Thank you.
Full background. Full background.
Can we have that going back historically from when this was first brought up to council over 10 years ago?
I think there is information available, so we'll certainly be able to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we now got the motion with an amendment. We happy with that? Have the Cook Park deferred? Understand? Councillor Peterson, you have a question or are you stretching?
No, I just wanted to make 2 points on that park that doesn't involve the bird aviary. Is this a good time to do it before we do the vote?
I think we're deferring all of Cook Park. Was your question in relation to anything to do with Cook Park?
It relates to both Robertson and Cook Park. So I'll just say very briefly, on page 200 and 259, talks about accessibility as key management issues. With several considerations mentioned, but the grass islands, difficult to access from the paths, we're not part of that. We have purchased those ramps in the past, have been quite successful. However, if there were any modifications to those islands in the future, in a Cook Park plan, some sort of barrier as a slope instead of a vertical edge would make sense. Given the Cook Park is being deferred, it's probably not quite as relevant, but this council did endorse a notice of motion to investigate public Wi-Fi, which was passed, but there's nothing in the Cook Park document about that being, a plan for the future. So that might be something to add.
Thank you, Councillor.
That's it.
Noted. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll move the motion. Of hands?
Yes.
Cook Park.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, councillors, let's go to item 5.8. Classification of operational land, lot 97 DP 13164, 86 Shirley Road. There's recommendation on page 525. Can I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion? Being no discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Unanimous. Item 5.9, council advocacy activities, 1 January 2025 through to 30 June 2025. Can I have somebody move the recommendation, which is on
Happy
page
to move it.
527, moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? Being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Unanimous. Councillors, item 5.10, strategic policy reviews. There's a recommendation on page 535. Can I have a mover and a seconder? By Councillor Greenhouse, seconded by Councillor Kinghorn. Any discussion? Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I've just wondered, 5.110, so page 538, so 4.1 actually. It's considered that the property owner will be informed by the tenant. I was just concerned about that because, so sorry, it's on page 538 and it's 4.10. So on the bottom part on the left-hand side of that page, the last one, where the property is tenanted and a council officer advises the tenant of a potential water leak or high water consumption, it's considered that the property owner or the agent will be informed by the tenant. You have the owner's details because they're the ones who pay the rates, so I was just concerned about that.
We exhibit.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Is there any further discussion? Being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands. Thank you. Council, just bearing in the matter of time, we're just about to go into closed if you so desire, but I'll need an extension to do so. Thank you, councillor. Noted. Moved by councillor McDonald, seconded by councillor Steadman. We've got an extension of till 9:45, quarter to 11. Thank you. Yes. Got a quick break, councillors?
Go to the toilet while we go into close.
Okay, we're going into closed, council. Chief Executive Officer will now advise council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by closed meeting of Orange City Council.
We have received no such motions, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulation 2021, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following businesses of kind as referred to in Section 10A2 of the Act and should be dealt with in confidential session of Council closed to the press and public. Closed meeting reasons for being closed. Item 6.1, 2025 Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference. Nomination for councillors' attendance, determination of voting delegates. Call for motions is classified confidential under provisions of Section 10A2 of Local Government Act 1993, which permits meeting to be closed to the public for the business relating to, in brackets F, matters affecting the security of council, councillors, staff or council property. Item 6.2, tenders for Huntley Road urbanisation is classified confidential under provisions of Section 10A2 of Local Government Act 1993, which permits a meeting to be closed to the public for businesses relating to information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. And item 6.3, entering into contracts for the supply and delivery of bulk fuel is classified confidential under the provisions of Section 10A2 of the Local Government Act, 10A, why have we got it twice, but anyway, of the Local Government Act 1993, which permits the meeting to be closed to the public for businesses relating to DI commercial information of confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. Can I have somebody move and second that we go into closed section of meeting? Moved by Councillor Whitton and second by Councillor Greenhalgh. We'll now wait for the streaming to be paused.